Hey all, welcome back to the channel and welcome to Wednesday and Countdown Day. Of course, Monday was Christmas Day. I wasn't going to put up the countdown on Christmas Day just because I was spending it with my family and my friends. I hope that you had a wonderful few days with your family and friends, or you know what, if you prefer solitude, I hope that you had that as well. But you know what, we're slowly going to start to kind of get back to normal here a little bit, and we're going to kick things off with our countdown as voted on by fans of the weakest, I can't say worst this year because I don't think 2023 was a bad year for Transformers, but these are, as voted on by fans, the weakest, the top 10 weakest Transformers releases of 2023. That's our focus this time around in the latest GotBot Counts Down. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course subscribe, and while you are at it, light 'em up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that, man, is in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link, check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course, hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. And this is, as I said, the top 10 weakest Transformers releases of 2023 as voted on by fans. Naturally, this is quite subjective. It is certainly not definitive. Some of it I agree with, some of it I really don't agree with. Some that got votes really kind of surprised me. Let's do our 3 honorable mentions and get those out of the way first. One of those is the Dead Ironhide that came in the 2-pack with Prow. A lot of people said, why didn't you just do a normal, solid version? Why did it have to be, you know, that trauma? I get it. A lot of people didn't like Hotshot, the Legacy Evolution Hotshot. I can't speak to it. I don't know the mold. I have heard that the legs are somewhat hollow. I really don't know. So I can't speak to it, but I know it had votes. And Studio Series Mirage. A lot of people said the same sort of gripes with that one. They said too much clear plastic. In fact, a lot of clear plastic. They said a lot of car kibble on the back. And when he transforms into a Porsche, more indicative of Jazz than of the character of Mirage. So kind of the same old gripes. They were the honorable mentions for weakest releases, and none of them made the list. So who did? You know what we're going to do? We're going to do as we always do, and we're going to kick things off with number 10 first. Coming in at number 10, we go to Legacy Evolution and Shadow Striker. It's so weird. I actually really enjoyed Shadow Striker. I thought that she was unique. I thought that she was different. Is she perfect? No. A lot of people said, look, the body type, like the head sculpt is fine, but the body type is absolutely not Shadow Striker. If you're a fan of Cyberverse, this ain't it. I do think in vehicle mode, it looks more like Shadow Striker. However, that being said, a lot of people also criticized the transformation and said once you get her to vehicle mode, if everything isn't absolutely perfect, the roof just plain won't plug in all the way. And they said the bumper piece here, like the way that that goes in on the back is just not smooth, and then it leaves you with a gap on the back. Not to mention you have these like wing things on the back. People said it might be acceptable for an update of Sideburn when that comes. Time will tell. But for Shadow Striker, it just missed the mark. I like her. I'm glad to have a version of Shadow Striker, even if it's not the most ideal version. I tend to agree with fans with this one, as Shadow Striker takes the number 10 slot for weakest release as voted on by fans of 2023. Coming in at number 9 is one that actually really shocks me because it scored really well on the best releases of 2023 list. And it's this guy. Yeah, that's right. It is the Studio Series 102, I guess, Buzzworthy Bumblebee, Rise of the Beast, Optimus Prime. And a bunch of people said the same thing. It was one of the weakest releases because it was an exclusive and almost Herculean to even find. It was hyped up to the nth degree, and while it's good, when you get it in hand and you've been hyped up so much, it's kind of a letdown because you expect it to be so much more. I can't speak to it. I don't have this one. I've only heard excellent, 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 excellent things about it, from articulation to look to transformation. So I can't speak to it personally. However, there are a lot of fans that were overhyped for what ended up being a somewhat mediocre release, that it scored enough support to rank at the number 9 slot for weakest releases of 2023. Number 8 takes us to Studio Series once again, and this time the Gamer Edition and this guy. Yeah, it's Bumblebee. I mean, I'm sick of Bumblebee anyway. I prefer, or I like, the original Deluxe, though the transformation on that can be a little wonky as well. I have not seen a review of this Bumblebee. I have not watched one. I don't know anybody that owns this Bumblebee. I haven't handled it. However, everyone has said the same thing. For both Bumblebee and Cliffjumper, they said, you know what? It's not good. The articulation is pretty good, but you have a weird movement apparently at the ankle. I don't know what that means. The arms apparently like to fall off on some people's copies. I'm not exactly sure how that happens, but a lot of people, the vast majority, said the transformation is just not good. It feels flimsy, it feels loose, it has a poor transformation, the chest doesn't angle down enough. It's just not enough to like, not enough to make it any good. In fact, it's one of the weakest of the year. So weak that it was able to get enough support to take the number 8 slot. Man, number 7, I personally had high hopes for, but after hearing the feedback, it became an easy pass for me. I'm talking about this. Studio Series Nightbird. I thought that the Siege Nightbird was an abysmal trash heap mess. And it is, because it used that garbage Siege chromium mold, which is one of the worst molds they've ever done in all of Transformers. If you like it, you're wrong. I'm just going to say it. Then they did the 3-pack version of this Nightbird that, I guess it was okay, but it was a lot more bronzy or beige than it should have been. It just didn't land for Nightbird. And then they done the Studio Series. I said, you know what? Looks okay, though the chest looks kind of big, but maybe it'll be all right. She's supposed to be a ninja. I mean, how bad can it be? Can't be worse than that Generation Selects Nightbird that we got, right? And everybody says the same thing. Janky feet, can hardly stand, her swords fall out of her hands, and the transformation is finicky. There's a bunch of junk on her back. Hardly the range of motion, the articulation, and the solidity that a fleet-footed, sure-footed ninja should have. In the end, something that so many people wanted and had hyped up ended up being a bit of a failure. Certainly weak enough that it was able to take the number 7 slot. Now, number 6 is one that absolutely baffles me because it's Lio Convoy, the Legacy Evolution Lio Convoy. I don't understand why anyone would put this on a worse list. I thought it was one of the most brilliant offerings of the year. I really did. I thoroughly enjoyed it with a clever transformation, shockingly good articulation, and tons of paint. However, those that voted for him almost unanimously said that they didn't like the lion head. It did not look like the Beast Wars 2 face. I tend to agree with that. They didn't like that we had these yellow orbless eyes with no pupil when they really should have been white with a pupil. I guess I get that. I don't know if it's enough for me to call this one of the worst of the year, but I understand that gripe. Funny enough, those that also said that they would put this guy on the worst list said that they thought that the black repaint, the Nemesis repaint if you will, Black Lio Convoy, Nemesis Leo Prime, whatever you want to call it, was better than this because the eyes were painted better, plus he came with a blaster. I understand that, I get that. And you know what? While the gripes are minor, maybe this year was just so strong that even with minor gripes, it was enough to land Lio Convoy here at the number 6 slot for worst, weakest, whatever you want to call it, releases of 2023. And now here we are at the ever coveted, ever popular halfway mark. And today at the halfway mark, we go back to the dead 2-pack, if you will. We already mentioned Ironhide in the honorable mentions, but this time we have Prowl. And really 3 reasons were given by voters for Prowl. 1, he should have just had a normal face and he shouldn't have had this battle damage and just be normal, just like the gripes that people had with Ironhide. 2, the joints are real loose on this guy. Like, his knees are real loose. You can say what you want about clear plastic, but the legs on my regular Prowl are infinitely better. The knees, infinitely better than they are on this one. And 3, trauma. This is just horrifying. It's just reliving trauma from your childhood. Yeah, all of that goes together to make a pretty weak release of what should have been a pretty great release. Prow takes the number 5 slot. Now coming in at number 4, I don't have this character and I don't have a picture of this character. I'm going to use something else. It is Gamer Megatron, Studio Series Gamer Edition Megatron, who I'm going to kind of show going back in time with this Megatron. And I'm showing it for one very specific reason, two very specific reasons. You see, everybody that went against Gamer Megatron gave the same gripes. They said, one, he's not really much bigger than the Deluxe from several years ago. For a Voyager, I sort of expected more. 2, the fusion cannon on the Deluxe was way cooler, not accurate, but way cooler than the more accurate one that's on the Gamer Edition, which looks a little rinky-dink. But voters said, and I agree with them, that they have no baffling clue why that little nub was put on the back of the knee, allowing the knee to only bend that far, when the Deluxe could bend this far. And they said, while you can cut that nub off, it was bad design. Poor fusion cannon, poor size, bad design. All conspired to put Gamer Edition Megatron at the number 4 slot. Into the top 3, and at number 3 we have a mold that ranked last year as well. In fact, for me, it was the absolute worst mold. It was the absolute worst release of 2022. And we got the mold again in 2023 with its own release. I'm talking about Laser Cycle. Still a weak mold, not great. Luckily, mine has excellent tolerances. Big shout out to Matt from Transformers Talk Raw. I won this from him. Mine has really excellent tolerances the way that this mold should be, but again, I've heard the same gripes as I heard last year with Road Rocket and with RC. The knees tend to pop. Too light. The plastic feels flimsy. The pins at the shoulders just allow the shoulders to basically rip off. A janky transformation. All of these same gripes from last year with this mold carried over this year. You've used the thing about 3 times, maybe retire it because fans don't like it. 2 years in a row, it's either ranked top or very near the top for weakest releases. Yeah, I get it. Laser Cycle, as cool as the paint job is, unfortunately takes the number 3 slot. Coming in at number 2, I got to agree with this one. I think the voters really nailed this one. Look, I think the look is cool in both robot mode and vehicle mode for this character. But man, oh man, even the transformation's alright, but man, oh man, the articulation is abysmal in 2023. Of course, I'm talking about Gamer Edition Barricade. Not a great design. Really not a strong Barricade in robot mode. Great in vehicle mode, really cool. And an interesting transformation. But in robot mode, the elbows, they're limited. The knees are super limited. You got all this junk on the side. This could've, should've been much better than what it was. Instead, a lot of voters said, as cool as Barricade is, he deserved better because this release really just feels like a poorly done afterthought. And for that reason, Gamer Edition Barricade takes the number 2 slot. And now here we are, Tippy top number 1 for worst release as voted on by fans for all of 2023, and I get it. I think this is going to shock a lot of people. A lot of people figured it was going to be a Studio Series release, and it's not. It's a Legacy Evolution release. In fact, technically, it's a Legacy release that came out in Legacy Evolution Wave 1 of this year, and it's Breakdown. Yeah, this isn't good. The car mode is absolutely inaccurate. It is not a Lambo at all. It is the laziest, rankest repaint of Wild Rider, which in and of itself wasn't very good. The transformation is very finicky, fiddly, overly tight. I find it hurts my hands a lot. They painted in the ports that need to attach this guy to Menasor so that he is Herculean to get on and terrifying to get off. The spoiler was one lazy piece that was supposed to serve as an accessory that was as lame as the day is long. I actually have an add-on kit to kind of do a better spoiler that you can leave on his legs in alt mode. The robot mode is painted okay, but again it has that hella backpack that plagued Wild Rider as well. This is a case of Breakdown is a cool character with a cool look and a cool alt mode that instead of doing justice to him, they decided to take the absolute laziest route that they could possibly do. Fans don't like it and feel offended enough that this guy was able to take the number 1 slot for weakest release, and I agree with it. of 2023. There you have it, 10 down to 1. Once again, whether you agree with it or not, I can guarantee you my own personal list when I do it, because the next 2 weeks of countdowns, we're not going to be doing votes. They're going to be my personal best and worst of 2023. And other ones that got votes, Studio Series Rise of the Beast Air Razor. I'm surprised because that used the excellent Kingdom Air Razor mold, but a lot of people said it was just a lazy reuse. Bludgeon, Legacy Evolution Bludgeon, and Tarn. I'm baffled how anyone cannot think that they're tremendous releases. Earthspark, Warrior Skywarp, Legacy Evolution Bomb Burst, Animated Auto Trooper from the 4-pack, Rise of the Beast, Bumblebee Studio Series 1, Nova Prime, who I actually really liked, 86 Frenzy, people said he has no elbows and the dude can barely stand, Bombshell, Crosscut, Gamer Edition Cliff, Gamer Edition Bumblebee, Gamer Edition Starscream, Zigzag, Noah Diaz, Core Class Rise of the Beast RC, who else? Core Class Sludge, Studio Series Rise of the Beast Scourge, who I actually really enjoyed. I preferred that over what we actually got in the movie personally. TR-01 Hurricane, which I think is that helicopter Waspinator. A lot of people said it's just overly engineered. The Soundwave Thunder Machine, not that great apparently. Takara Optimus Primal, though it's big, apparently it's not that great. I can't say, I don't know. And this one surprised me. Studio Series Concept Megatron. Wouldn't have figured that, but here's the one that shocked me the most. Somebody voted for Studio Series 86 Ultra Magnus. Goes to show it's something for everyone, and not everyone's always going to agree. Different strokes for different folks. Let me know if your weakest made the list or not, or what your weakest was. I appreciate you guys coming by and giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through Spring or Course. Hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. While you're at it, please hit the subscribe button. Stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel. I wish each and every one of you the absolute very best in 2024. We will be back here to have more foolish antics and fun for sure. And don't forget, man, that somehow, some way, each and every single solitary day, you right there, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres or the old fashioned way right here inside the videos.